Hey, you.
Angela Fazio is an industry powerhouse who has overseen 40,000 homes sold and $9 billion in production. And Kristy Cantrell is one of the nation's most accomplished team leaders, helping thousands of agents build their businesses. They are passionate about educating, encouraging, and empowering moms in real estate. Our next episode starts now.
All right, no judgment. No judgment, people.
Yeah, seriously. Welcome to Moms in Real Estate. I'm Kristy Cantrell.
I'm Angela Fazio, and you can tell this is different this time. We have an in-person guest, and we were really trying to figure that out, but I'm so excited to have live and in-person Kristy Dewitz. Welcome to the show.
Welcome. And you're going to be talking about seizing opportunity today, which is one of my favorite topics because you can tell talking to you, you know how to create your own opportunities. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So I was a competitive athlete, which I think has created a lot of skill sets for me that I didn't even know were going to translate into my professional career until I really got into real estate. So having that competitive edge, as an athlete, you're always practicing and you're always failing. Athletes, you can never win everything all the time. Mm-hmm. So taking opportunities and taking risks for me was easier because I think I had already worked through all the hurdles of feeling what rejection was and how it feels to lose. And every time you lose, it just makes you want to get up and go win again. So that is something that's been ingrained into me as an athlete that really led me into my future endeavors. So after I was a competitive diver, I did all the flips. I was crazy.
No kidding. That's crazy.
Where did you practice that?
Yeah. How do you do? Wait, stop for a second. This is what my question with gymnasts, with people who do stunts like that I watch on Chive, whatever. How do you do something like that for the first time? Like, I'm going to flip. You did it, was it high dive or?
Yeah, I did platform, springboard, the high board, I did it all.
So how do you decide in your mind, you know what, I think today I'm going to flip?
So I was an adrenaline junkie. I had a trampoline as a kid and I was always doing flips. My mom put me in swim team and I hated it.
Did you?
And looking back, I hated it because it's so monotonous. You just go back and forth. Sorry to all the swimmers out there.
It's fine.
So I saw the diving and I was like, that is what I want to do. So I did a summer program and then I dove at ASU club for 8 years. And then I went to Northern Arizona and dove up north in college. So.
Okay,
so
wait,
cool.
I have to ask more questions because I'm enamored. Do you flip on the ground first?
Yeah, so there's a lot of like dry land work. So they have actual diving boards that go into like foam pits.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And no one realizes that when you hit water really high up, it's like hitting cement.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot. I actually knocked my front 14 out.
No, you didn't.
When I was 21. Diving.
Well, the new ones are really pretty.
Yeah.
There's nothing. I have 2 big front teeth from knocking mine out, and that's a struggle. Do you have nightmares?
Yes.
Yeah.
I still have nightmares.
Yeah.
Like falling off diving boards.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's horrible.
You have nightmares about falling off diving boards?
No, about losing my teeth.
Every time my kids hurt themselves, the first thing I do is like, are your teeth in there?
I know.
Your teeth are there.
We're good if your teeth
it's just
are
blood.
in.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is so cool. So, and I love that, so many people are so afraid to fail. I feel like failing is such a good thing. And so talking about that and how that translates into real estate, like you said, like you don't care if somebody says no, you just go to the next person.
Yeah, exactly. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like it is what it is.
Yeah.
You never give yourself the opportunity if you never try. And so after I was done diving, I had kids really young, unexpectedly. Thank you to my husband. So we had 3 kids in 5 years. So 22, 24, 26, I had all my kids. And I started an Instagram doing like home workouts. And I just started sharing like real life. I mean, I got on there in tears postpartum because I was just, it's a lot when you're a mom. And I was a young mom. None of my friends had kids at the time. So as I started the social media following years ago, it was a place I found this community and I started sharing just real life and my journey and people just kind of gravitated towards it. They were like, oh, nursing's hard. I was like,
of course.
Yeah.
That's harder than anything.
It's really, really hard.
Oh, it's so
I know.
hard. So making those relationships through social media I found my community there. Mm-hmm. And then through social media, I realized later in life, I have a very entrepreneurial mindset. Mm-hmm. So I started randomly DMing and emailing random brands. so many brands I emailed, and I was like, if they don't reply to me, like, I don't
So what?
care.
Right.
No.
Who cares?
Mhm.
So I did deals with Target and Pampers and like Dick's Sporting Goods, all these big brands, because I started putting myself out there.
Mhm.
And that's what you have to do. And if they said no, I got rejected plenty of times. I was like, all right, cool. It's something I never had. I tried.
Yeah.
So
Ooh, what a
and when
good way.
you-
Say that again, because people need to hear that. It's
If-
something I never had, so you might as well try.
Mhm.
And then if they say no, who
That's awesome.
cares?
That
Yeah.
is awesome.
Who cares? So once I like started doing that, then things start just coming towards you more naturally.
Mhm.
So I think when you put yourself out there, you're a magnet, and then things start to magnetize back to you.
See, you're a magnet too.
Thank
It's not
you.
just your husband.
There, she said it right from her mouth.
I know.
I did. So through social media, I built this following, and then I met Greg Haig in the hospitality industry,
Mhm.
and he gave me his card one day. He's the CEO of 72 Sold, and he told me that he was starting this business, and it was really early on before you saw the commercials and billboards if you're in Arizona. And he was like, reach out if you ever need anything. So what did I do? I was like, I Googled him and I was like, cool, this guy looks really interesting. So I called him and I asked him for a job just out of nowhere.
Mhm.
No interest in houses, no interest in real estate ever. It was just some guy gave me his card. So I treated it like the social media days. So I called him and he was like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, I've done social media. Like,
Mhm.
do you want me to come do your social media? He was like, all right, cool, let's do it.
Nice.
So I went and worked with him for 6 weeks, and I realized in that 6 weeks that I was made for sales. And it took me probably, let's say I started there when I was, how old am I? 31, 28.
Yeah.
It took me until 28 to realize that I was made for sales. Like,
That's,
I didn't know.
Young to figure out that you're
Your all took me so long.
So I went through like 5 or 6 jobs
Mhm.
that I would work for 3 to 4 weeks and I would quit. I was
Yeah.
a terrible employee. I was like, I refused to be miserable. I told myself I would never work an 8 to 5. And so if I didn't like a job, I quit. So I worked all these random jobs. I'm like, I don't fit anymore. I don't feel right. So then I found my calling in real estate.
You
and-
know what's so
That's
crazy?
a cool
You know
story.
what's so crazy though? I gave myself my 20s to figure out what I wanted to do, and I
That's
tried
great.
everything, and I bowed out when I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And at 27, I met her and started working for her, and that's when I fell in love with real estate.
Yeah.
I started real estate when I was 29.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
See?
Ooh, man.
So all you, I know. How cool.
That's so cool. You know what? You're the first person I've talked to. A lot of people where they've been really seriously competitive with sports. You're the first person that I can remember. My memory does kind of suck. That actually pointed out that it taught you how to fail well. I don't know that I've ever heard. I've heard discipline. I've heard being persistent.
Mhm.
And
Consistency.
yes, I've heard of all those things, but I don't know that I've ever heard somebody
think I have
say
either.
it helped me learn how to fail well.
Mhm.
Well, especially as a diver, you're constantly being judged.
Yeah.
Like, every time you hit the water, you're never perfect.
Mhm.
Right.
And for like a lot of gymnasts, they have a lot of mental health issues down there too.
Really?
Because you're constantly hearing negative criticism.
Yeah.
And no matter how good you are, it's never good enough.
And of course, it's
Yeah.
about your body, so that doesn't
Yeah.
help.
I know.
It's a whole toxic tendencies over there.
Right?
But for me, it was like, all right, it's already something you go through.
Mhm.
And so as a mom now with my children, none of us want our kids to fail. So right now I see all this, it's a big, putting it not nicely, but nicely, like a lot of helicoptering happening
Yeah.
with parenting in today's world.
Mhm.
And my biggest fear is like that I will make it too easy for them, that how am I going to make them strong and tough and be able to overcome struggles when they're bigger
If you don't let them
I'm
fail.
padding their lives now.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing
It's
that
really
I struggle
hard.
with right
Mhm.
now. With my kids are almost 4, 6, and 8. I'm like, how do I give them
Mhm.
enough struggle without making it too easy? It's a really tough balance.
I don't think that anyone's ever brought that up on our show.
Nobody has. And
Um,
it's a really good,
and
and I
then-
can feel.
Let's
like
talk
that.
about that more, because
Mhm.
I really think that a lot of moms are doing their kids a huge disservice
Yeah.
by constantly being like, I'll catch you,
And
don't
it's out of
worry.
love. That's
Yeah.
Of course it
I
is.
know.
Of course it
It's out of
is.
love.
I
Yeah.
know.
And so I talk about it frequently, like with my husband. I'm like, hardship is what has made a lot of us successful.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's true.
So I
Mhm.
had a lot of hardship through lots of different areas, but that's why I'm strong and motivated and driven now.
Yeah.
So no one wants to make hardship for their children, but
Mhm.
they have to go through something to make them tough for those characteristics down
It's
the
so
road.
true.
Yeah.
It's so true. It's so funny because it's really easy for me when one of my kids is pissing me off to let them fail. I'm like, well, you're gonna learn those consequences.
I know.
But like when my favorite one gets in trouble, and I'm like, I don't want you to be in trouble.
The
But
sweet soul. There's always
yeah.
a sweet soul.
Yeah.
I don't
Or
want you to get in trouble.
We had baseball tryouts like a couple weeks ago for my 7-year-old, and he didn't make it. And I had to have like the conversation with him, and I was like, I actually am really glad that happened, because that's a good like experience to go through. I mean, it sucked. I wanted him to get on the team, but I'm like, this is a good conversation. And I'm actually like, I don't like how everything is like, so, oh, you're doing so great. You're doing so great. And it's like, hey, listen, you have to, and he didn't try that hard. I'm like, listen, you didn't try hard.
That's right.
That's what happens. So
then they go back, and now they have to practice more. They have to work harder.
Yep.
And now they have a goal to strive for.
If they want it more, if they want it badly enough,
Absolutely.
I tell people all the time that, so I'm not, believe me, I am not bragging, but I was a Denver Bronco cheerleader.
That's awesome.
I actually got rejected the first time, and like the first practice, and I was so mad about it because I was always used to winning. I went back into the cheerleading coach, and I said, "You've made a mistake. You need to let me back on for the second tryouts." And she did. But I tell everybody, I had to work 5 times as hard to be half as good as those girls.
Mm-hmm.
It was a completely humbling experience, and I thank God for that. Like that taught me something new, because up until then,
Absolutely.
things were fairly easy.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
it wasn't that hard, you
That's
know?
probably why you found a success in business later too, because you had to go through those like gut wrench throat punching moments
Yeah.
where you have to grow as a human being.
Yep.
And figure out how you're gonna make it.
And you just said throat punch. Like, we're best
What?
friends.
I know. That's
I love
awesome.
throat punches.
We're all in.
today.
Yeah, we're all
Okay,
into
so let's
those.
go back to your social media, because I think it's really fascinating. Like, when I first met you, you told me you do not do filters on your Instagram, and your Instagram following's like 200,000 people on it. Yeah. That's a lot of
That's
people.
awesome.
And
Mhm.
she shows up with no filters. And I think that I think about that often, because it's so hard to show up without a filter now. Like, it literally,
Are you talking about like a literal filter or
Like
a figurative filter?
Like the Instagram filters, they make your face all pretty.
I don't even know how to use them.
Well, don't use them. Well, everything is so sugar coated now.
I know.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
And like with my clients, I mean, one of the reasons we've had so much success in real estate is because we shoot them straight. How I talk to you guys, I talk to my clients.
Nice.
There's no like facade of changing back and forth. So when I was talking about filters, I'm like, if I put a filter on, that is not me. Like to me, that's like me going against my code of who I am.
Mhm.
And like, none of us look good all the time.
No.
Yeah. Mhm.
I put makeup on a couple times a week if I have to go to see clients, but otherwise I don't like to wear makeup. And I got on my Instagram so many times without makeup, looking like crap, and just being like, hey, this is real. And it's relatable. People are like, I don't look like amazing all the time. So social media to me, especially for this younger generation, whole nother topic. I mean, it's getting to the point where everyone's comparing, and they're comparing to something that's not real.
Yeah.
So if I can make people feel more comfortable that we're not all amazing all the time, I mean, it's real life.
That's a
People
really
want real
good,
life.
what you just said too is really good, where it's like, if you can do that for somebody else, right? Where they're like,
Yeah. That's why we have the show, because comparison will kill you.
Oh,
Yeah.
well.
It will kill you. And that's one of the reasons why I love that we never, that like you saw the bad start to the show, right? You guys saw it. We don't stop it. We don't edit it, because that's not life. You don't get to just stop and edit your life.
No.
You don't get
And
to
we
do
were
that.
talking, we never re-listen to these, because it's like
I
we're
might.
gonna sit and be like, oh, like,
Never get
listen, we
covered.
sound so bad.
I know. I don't want to criticize my own voice or how my face looked, or
Nobody likes how their voice sounds. I don't know one person.
Oh, so
I bet you there's one person.
So let's go. I know. Yes. So let's go back to 72 Sold, because a lot of our audience is not in Arizona. So tell us a little bit about that company, because you've been an agent for 2.5 years and you've sold 300 homes with your husband, which is how much in production?
we've almost done 200 million in 2.5 years.
That's awesome.
So that's like really busy, right? And so tell
Yeah.
us about the company and what that looked like for you starting out and what it looks like now.
Yeah, so when I first started, the company hadn't grown. They actually, 72 Sold just partnered with KW nationally.
Yep.
So they made this big business deal outside of Arizona, but it started here. And so I got to be part of those not growing pains, but I got to watch the company grow from a really small team of 40, 50 people to now it's almost 500, I think.
Oh, wow.
So I was one of those first people there. And so
Your experience.
Sidebar, a few of us had too much to drink last night, so our brains are mushy.
And it's like 120 out. Oh, it's nice and cold in here. So I got to see the marketing change, and it's a very innovative company. Greg Haig, he's a marketing guru. So he always pivots and was always thinking outside the box. And that's something I love. I love creativity. There's so many ways to do the same thing better. And so that's something he was always doing with this business. So to see him like change so many different things to get it to where it's at now was really cool. He had a lot of failed ideas, failed commercials, but it's what got him to success now. So similar mindset to how he thinks is something I could relate to in this company. So it's a marketing company basically, and we just set up the home selling process different for sellers, where traditionally you wait for these showing requests to come in. We were losing a lot of my clientele. We were losing to iBuyers, like the open door and offer pads, because it was convenient. I can't tell you how many families, moms, dads, pet owners that were like, I can't step out for all these showings. We just want to go the quick, easy cash route. So we came up with good solutions to make it easier and more convenient for sellers. And there's some negative chatter out there.
Yeah.
Because whenever you do something different and you're an innovator in your space, and you start winning, people don't like it. It's competition. And
we know a lot about that.
Yes, we do.
And to be honest, like I'm not in competition with other realtors.
Yeah.
My business is not in competition with you. The other traditional agents out there are doing something different than we're doing.
Yep.
And you have to find your own lane of strengths. Because not everyone's going to like my cup of tea. And not everyone's going to like your cup of tea.
That's absolutely true.
You're not for everyone.
I like the whole women supporting women is like, it's great. We're not in competition.
Yeah.
No.
Like there are plenty of clients for everybody.
So many people, especially in Arizona.
Yeah, exactly. There's plenty. So that's where like when people get kind of ratty about it, I'm like, well, what have you done to build your business? What clients have I taken from you? I haven't taken clients from anybody. We've just come up with solutions, how to make things work for certain people that, you know, is elevating the game for everybody.
And we talk about this all the time. You know, the same reason why real estate is so beautiful for moms of every season is the same reason why real estate's so beautiful, because there's not one way to do it. And there's a lot of different ways to solve problems. And if you can be that innovative problem solver, well, then good for you. You have an edge. And that's what that is just the world.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, what's really cool about real estate is like after you first get your license, it's like, hey, you're going to go sell houses or take a buyer out. There's so much opportunity inside this real estate bubble. And not everybody's a listing agent and not everyone's a buyer's agent. There's so much more back into it that you can get into, like things you guys are doing, and the TC world, and
oh my gosh, that's right.
Just in the last 2 weeks, my coach helped me open up 2 other income streams, so now I'm at 6.
It's awesome,
and that's all all in the
it's
real
all
estate
about
space.
It's all about income
you guys,
streams.
and it's literally putting yourself like around people that are like, I want that, and and so we all want that, and so we're like thinking so much differently. Where typically you see agents that are like, where's my next deal coming from? I'm like, really? Like, you got to think bigger than that, you know? Like, what else do you have going on?
For sure. And that's why with 72 Sold, people are like, oh, let's do the commercial again. I'm like, well, are you doing any commercials? Like, you don't have to do commercials, but like,
shut your TV off.
Yeah, what are you doing to elevate your game?
Oh my gosh, yeah. People talk crap about EXP, and I'm like, you guys are so dumb. Like, do you even understand what you're saying?
No, and we're not in competition.
Yeah.
So own your space. I like the real estate world. I think of it as like you have this big tree branch where like you get to pick what your trunk is.
Yeah.
And then you hang out with people like you and you collaborate. I love collaboration.
So do we.
I think it's the coolest thing. I might grab a tiny idea from you that turns into a whole branch off my trunk.
Yeah.
So we have this opportunity to create our trunks.
Yep.
And then we all create our branches off of it separately. Like you have 6 branches now off your trunk. That's cool.
I have way more than 6.
It's better than a twig.
There you go.
Yes. But yeah,
that's what's called an abundant mindset. Everything that we've been talking about from the first words you said about what you translated from sports, you know, your diving, to just now, just
Even to Instagram.
Everything, just
Yeah.
abundant mindset.
Mhm.
There's
That's
enough for
awesome.
everyone, and I can grab a lot, and there's still a lot more left.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Well, thank you.
That's all. That's awesome. Actually,
So tell us, like, what does a typical day look like for you?
So right now, Nick and I, we've kept our team pretty small. I hate micromanaging people.
Mhm.
so do I.
Oh,
Ugh.
I don't have this big vision to have this giant team. I could go there, but it's just not probably the route I want to go through.
Mhm.
I like to create like opportunities for people to thrive in their space. And if I can sprinkle on some like sugar on top, like I want them to grow into their own success.
Leaders
Uh-huh.
rising up leaders.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Mhm.
Yeah. So right now we have about probably like 8 people, and we all have very specific strength roles.
Mhm.
So if I hire people that have my weakness. That my weakness is I hire my strengths in other people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm not organized, and I'm not a detail person. Do not tell me the details. I do not care.
Like literally, if somebody sends an email and it's more than 2 sentences, I'm out.
Sometimes it depends what time of the day. Sometimes I just mark it as unread. I said I can't read too many words right now.
I'll go back. I'm like, wait, this should be a phone call.
Well, didn't you see the beginning of this? Details are not for us either.
No.
So I hired amazing people that
Nice.
are detail oriented, that are organized, that thrive in that
Mhm.
world. So
Mhm.
we're all having the synergy. So Nick and I go on probably 3 to 4 listing appointments a day. And then we're probably doing about 20 to 30 transactions a month inside our little team. So we have really good agents that I will just pass full deals on, and they become the next contact, and they build that great relationship and they carry it on. I have some listing agents I'm training right now. I always do things in pairs. So I like for listing appointments, all my team will always go with a listing partner. No one on my team ever goes alone. I've never been on a listing appointment alone. I think it's
Well, yeah, and you guys are not walking into someone's house that you know, so that's super smart.
It's super different.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. I think it's also smart because what if they don't like you, but they like you?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where my
Yep.
safety. I mean, sure, safety, but that's not where my mind went. My mind went. You gave
Yep.
yourself twice as big of a chance of winning that
And
over.
I tell people that all the time. I'm like, we've been on all our appointments are cold, and I didn't know like it was a skill set to go into like a cold meeting, and you have basically 10 minutes to get someone to fall in love with you.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right.
And it's a first impression. We're selling a program, how we sell the real estate, but people have to fall in love with you really quickly off a first impression.
Mhm.
And that's not a natural thing. And
Mhm.
I learned that from my husband. He's super natural with like people, and I've grown to be better at it.
Mhm.
But so when we go on appointments, they're super cold. Whoever's gravitating towards one of us takes lead on it.
That's right.
So
That's a
we're
skill
not
set
all the
too.
same.
Mhm.
So instantly I'm like, your vibe, I believe in vibes.
Yeah.
Like you either like
Mhm.
accelerate really quickly, or you like draw back around certain people. And it might not even be, it's just
Might not even be
chemistry.
true, but at the
Mhm.
moment,
Yeah, it's just chemistry
Yeah.
Mhm.
initially. So if I'm like, I lose my luster a little bit, then Nick's like super hot, right?
Yeah.
He's like on fire with these people. I'm like, perfect. I sit back, and then vice versa. So giving yourself the doubled opportunity.
it's double the opportunity. You're
It's
so smart.
Double
Yeah.
opportunity.
You're so smart, Kristy. That's awesome.
I love
I
it.
love it too.
Mhm.
I love your energy. I love all the things that you're
you.
saying. It's an amazing time to like actually have you in the room too is really cool.
I know, this is fun. So why don't you tell everybody, if you had to give like one piece of advice to a brand new agent, what would it be?
I think you have to find the right group of people to be with.
Mm-hmm.
And people, when I first got into real estate, people were like, 72 sold, who's Greg Haig? And I was like, no. I had a great feeling about it. I'm like, this is going to be big. And I had other agents, they were like, no, you need to interview 10 brokerages. The whole brokerage thing, great. You can find a brokerage for anybody, but even going more micro than that, finding your people, finding people you jive with that are going to elevate your game to the next level. Because if you're on a team that there's just no chemistry, you won't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And I've been on listing appointments with other people and other teams, and there's just not good chemistry in the setting. So I think finding the right people to associate yourself that have the same values, that have the same goals, I think it's really important to just, find your tribe.
Yeah.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I
We talk
totally
about that
agree.
all the time.
I'm obsessed with now making sure that if there's someone in my circle that's poisoning me,
Oh my
And
gosh,
if there's someone I see
Yes.
that I need them in my circle, I'll pursue.
And
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what they say. It's quick to fire, slow to hire.
Mhm.
And I got this small little reputation for like being really hard on people, but it's not being hard. It's just being really direct and honest.
Mhm.
So
Did she just make my heart sing? She made my heart sing. I love that.
So the chatter right now is like, oh, if you can make it with Kristy, you're gonna be good. I'm like, no, I'm not that mean. I'm just like, I'm just honest. So if people weren't working out, it was because one, they're in the wrong lane and we need to move them to a better lane,
Mhm.
or it's just not a good fit with our values and goals.
It's like
So-
Dave Ramsey talks about like your seats, right? And sometimes people need to move seats.
And sometimes I need to get off the bus.
Yeah. And the quicker you get them off the bus, the better it is for
Everybody.
them too. Then they can
Uh-huh.
go find their correct
Yes.
tribe.
Yeah,
Yes.
So
for sure.
And it's not because we don't like people. Like I love everybody. You just like need to find the
You're
right
just a high
currency.
D, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, she is for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you have been awesome. Thank you so much for being a guest on our show.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
It's fun.
Thanks for watching, you guys, in this weird angle. See you guys next time.
Weird.